congratulate Business World for putting together a highly meaningful and relevant topic, which is recycling and, of course, on ESG. I think ESG as a buzzword has been in the industry for about a decade plus, but especially in the last, I would say, couple of years, there has been a significant impetus in terms of how ESG is moving from merely just being a buzzword to how do we execute it. So I will first maybe start in reverse, which is start with G first. So governance is primarily with respect to the HR compliance, with respect to the procedures for monitoring, etc., whatever you're doing with respect to an ESG point of view. That's very critical because you can only improve what you can measure. From a S point of view, which is social, it primarily concerns diversity. Personally, if you ask me, it's more about equality, isn't it? Because 50% of the population is female. So why shouldn't that get equally represented in the workforce? Within our organization, we are a relatively small organization, GEAR, which is the acronym for Germany Equipment and Rental. We primarily operate in the intra-logistics market. We basically provide forklifts and other material handling equipment. And specifically with respect to S, it gives me great pride to share that we've employed women forklift operators across a couple of sites. We're also the first company in the state of Chhattisgarh to employ transgenders as part of our workforce. And please bear in mind, I'm not doing a favor to anyone. I think it's just the right thing to do. These people, when we talk about whether it's women or transgenders, they are a lot more hungrier to prove themselves, and given the opportunity, they usually perform at a higher level than most of my male team members. So it's great business sense is what I want to emphatically state. It's not about trying to fill in some specific number of diverse employees. Now coming to the main subject topic of this session today, of the conclave, which is on E. And this, I think, is really important to keep in context, E standing for environmental. India's net zero, as per Prime Minister Modi ji, is 2070. It may seem 46 years ahead, but the time to start was yesterday. Because when you're talking about net zero, there are three types of scope of emissions which one needs to keep in mind. Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3. Scope 1 is from your own assets. Say you own a vehicle, that's part of your Scope 1. Scope 2 is your related energy sources, solar, etc., coal-powered. And third is assets that you rent out, Scope 3, and assets that you are using in your factory, office, etc. Scope 3 is the largest part of the emissions. When we talk about the immediate focus, I think as an overall country, is primarily on Scope 1, which is on owned assets, and that's where even from a passenger vehicle point of view, you'll see a lot of EVs, which are primarily lithium-ion driven. So I think that's the broader context on ESG, E being the most fundamental aspect at this point of time. S and G are equally important, but E is what will drive the economy as a whole as we want to tackle the larger challenges of climatic, there is absolutely, I would say, a huge adverse impact of climate, be it excessive rains, etc. And that's the part that we're really trying to drive towards. The most important thing is, I think if you take a step back, right, and if you look at us as a nation, you go back hundreds, thousands of years, we were always sustainably oriented. We were always balance oriented. The ethos of Indian culture is about being balanced. And I think somewhere around the root, that aspect has gotten lost out, right? As we're all trying to drive businesses more aggressively. And there's nothing wrong in that. I'm a very aggressive businessman myself. And it's something that I drive extremely passionately. But I think it's important to keep that balance. And when it comes to that, first is, I think, having a clear intention. Now, if I can share an example with you. If you look at the Reliance Group, which is by far the largest corporate group in the country, Shri Mukesh Bhai Ambani has announced a net zero target of 2035, which is audacious, given that they operate the largest petrochemical complex in the country. And I think that's the kind of audacity that one needs to first have. And then the rest follows. The first is mindset. The second, from a challenge point of view, is unit economics. It has to make financial sense. So either your productivity has to go up and or your cost has to go down. And I think that's the critical tipping point behind at which an innovation or a new product adoption takes significant scale. For example, again taking a small example of what my organization may do at Gear, we have the privilege of being number one in MHE rental in India. We also have the privilege of being number one in deploying lithium-ion MHEs, which are zero-emission MHEs. The way we've been able to engage our customers, and we have the privilege of very large customer relationships, including the Vedanta Group, Saint-Gobain, Reliance, etc., Aditya Birla Group, is we've taken the conversation from cost of acquisition of an asset to total cost of ownership. So when you buy a forklift or you rent out a forklift for that matter, over an extended period of time, you're able to demonstrate how the cost gets saved and your productivity improves. For example, lithium-ion assets are maintenance free, so there is no cost in maintenance. Second, they have a much longer lifespan. A lead acid battery lasts for approximately 2 years. I'm just giving you a sense, whereas a lithium-ion phosphate battery lasts for nearly 8 to 10 years. It's 5 times the life of a lead acid battery. Also the ability for a lithium-ion battery to keep charge. It's 95% odd versus a 70% for a lead acid battery. And that's where your cost savings start coming in over a period of time. So I think the single biggest aspect from a unit economics point of view is how do you demonstrate total cost of ownership and demonstrate the financial benefit in terms of productivity increase and or cost decrease to the customer. Second, of course, is asset costs, right? So with lithium-ion batteries themselves, the costs are going down. We've also, I think, very privileged that in the last 12 months, 2 large lithium deposits have been found in India. These are very early stage developments in the state of Rajasthan and in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Please mind you that these are fairly large deposits and would go a long way in making India self-sufficient with respect to our own energy requirements.